Hi Always, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Hey Rennie, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Hey folks, for the ones joining right now, always great to know where you're watching from. So if you just want to let me know where you're watching from, that would be really cool. So this moon watch was completely unplanned. Hey Ross, how you doing? Hi Lisa. So yeah, it's really nice and sharp tonight, isn't it? And let's just zoom in a bit more and have a look at these stunning craters right on the edge. And what's happening is, because the moon is actually quite bright at the moment, it means that I think it overwhelms the iPhone sensor. Hey Jeanette from Chorley, welcome. Kelly from Newcastle Underline. Chris from Cardiff, hello. Hiya Ben from GA. I don't know which state that is. You'll have to let me know. So this, Maria from Hertfordshire, how you doing? Welcome to this completely unplanned moon watch, and it's great that you guys are joining. I looked out the window and it looked like it was pretty clear. So because the moon is rising later and later as the days goes on, it actually means that the opportunities for lives diminishes. So I thought, why don't we just get it set up? Even though tomorrow I do have a plan of going live again. From Georgia, I thought it was, but I wasn't 100% sure, so wasn't going to say. Renee from South California, hello, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Hey everybody, so just a big hello. Thanks for joining and watching this moon watch. Do I have much planned? Not really. Tonight it's just about looking at the moon together and enjoying the stunning craters, because every single night you look at the moon, it's different to the night before, and that's due to the moon phases, which is all about geometry. It's all about the moon orbiting around Earth and the light that comes from the sun, which then reflects back on Earth. So it's all about geometry as to how the moon looks like, what kind of phases we're going to get. And, you know, this sort of phase, when it's not full moon, so this is what we call a waning gibbous moon. So it's gone past full moon, it's heading towards the first quarter moon. So, hang on. No, the third quarter. So what it means is the moon was just rise later and later. So first of all, big hello to everybody. I don't really have much planned. I don't really want to go into a full talk about the moon tonight. It's just to really enjoy these craters, and surely if you folks have got any questions, ask away. I'm aware that everyone's up at different times, so you may miss the live tomorrow. It's at 9 o'clock. It's currently 12:30 a.m. here in the new UK. So if you're wondering what I'm using at the moment, I'm guessing that the majority of you watching this live are followers of my page. So first of all, big thank you for following my page. And I'm sure most of you probably have been on a live with me before. If you haven't, then please let me know. Just say first time watching. That would be pretty awesome. So Renee's asking, why will there be a blue moon? Thanks for the question. So that would have been mentioned quite a lot. This October, we have 2 full moons. And that gives you the clue as to why we have a blue moon this month. October the 1st was the first full moon, and it's October the 31st, which is Halloween. We have another full moon. So that means we have 2 full moons this month. And in cases where there are 2 full moons, the second full moon is known as a blue moon. Hence the phrase, once in every blue moon or so. So it's quite a rare thing. And blue moons don't actually mean that the moon's going to turn blue. It's just the name of it. Likewise, a lot of names of full moons that get given. So this October the 1st full moon was called the harvest moon. And actually, October the 31st, that full moon is called hunter's moon. So we have different moons every month. And quite exciting for us to have a second full moon in October. And apparently it happens every 3 years or so. So hopefully we'll do a live then as well, and we can look at it. So I had another question, and that question was, what is that bright spot in the middle? So that is a crater. So we have plenty craters. I believe there's something like 100,000 craters on the moon's surface that are bigger than I only learned this yesterday. It came up yesterday. There's 100,000 craters larger than a certain size. So basically there's loads of craters. And I believe, Ross, if you're still watching, mate, this crater here is called Copernicus. So there's different names given to different craters, and this huge one here is called Copernicus, I believe. So craters on the moon and different features on the moon all have different names. And here is another really famous crater called Tycho crater, which is named after Tycho Brahe, which is he was a huge astronomer back in the day. So pretty cool to look at. And what you have is something called ejector rays that seem to come out from the big craters, and that's just a material that's been sort of spread out from an impact. Cheers, Ross. So the reality of it, folks, is I am getting a lot of questions. That I see them pop up, and it scrolls quite quickly. And I'll be honest with you, what I don't want to do tonight is try and scroll through all the questions. When I see the questions, I'll answer them as quickly as I can. And the reason why I don't want to scroll down is because every time I do that, watch this, the screen does move a bit, so it's not probably not a good idea. Right, what was I going to say? Okay. Oh, thanks, Ross. So Copernicus. So let's have a look at this crater again. Oh, by the way, let me just mention who Ross is. Ross is he is the founder of UK Astronomy. So for the folks based in the UK, UK Astronomy is founded by Ross and his wife Frankie, and the guys are based down south near Milton Keynes. And they have loads of events. They're a UK charity, and check out the Facebook group and website ukastronomy.org. And I'm really proud to be one of the team members. So Ross is surprisingly is online tonight, and it means if you have any difficult questions, Ross, you can answer them. But I'm really excited because we're going to be working together and doing lots of stuff together. So it's very, very exciting stuff. So just to start off with, if you're wondering, what kind of equipment am I using? Because it might seem that, of course, we're getting a lot of magnification at the moment. And just to give you an idea, we're getting about 90 times magnification. So if you get a decent pair of binoculars, you might get something like 10, 15 times magnification, but decent telescopes, or just even a beginner's telescope, should give you some great views of the moon. So the telescope that I'm using tonight is different to the ones I've been using perhaps for the first 25 moon watches that I've done. This is a slightly smaller telescope than usual, but because of the way it's designed, it gives us some really good magnification and also pretty sharp viewing conditions. So it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? The only thing I need to do is I need to buy a moon filter, and that enables us to look at the features better, get us a bit of better contrast. So yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I try and go live as much as I can, as often as I can, and the reason is because I really enjoy it. You know, it's clear that my followers also enjoy it too, and you know, a lot of my photography is, you know, astro related. It goes without saying. If you look at the lives and the photographs, the moon has a big influence. And I guess the reason why that is, well, one, I run stargazing events, so of course naturally I'm super interested in astrophotography. But I guess for the moment, you know, for the last few months, we haven't had such a big chance and opportunity to travel. So taking photographs and seeing the moon, hey, we can do that wherever, right? It can be anywhere in the world, and as long as it's clear and the moon's out, we can photograph it. So that's just answering my own question, aren't I? I was like, why do I always take photographs of the moon? It's like, because it's always there. So, well, actually, hey, it's not always there. Hey, what a big mistake that was. Genji, thank you so much for Facebook stars. Just noticed you've given me some stars there. Really appreciate it. And Facebook, a few months ago, they gave my followers the opportunity to give me stars during videos and live events, and also to subscribe as well. So I really appreciate the Facebook stars. Also, just to mention, since I'm guessing anyone that's watching is following my page, there's been a lot of activity recently, and in that I've been putting together the long-awaited calendar. So I have 2 calendars. I've got one which is every single full moon of the year, and of course we haven't finished the year yet, so that hasn't been fully completed, but I've got 10 of the 12 moons. And also I've got my normal calendar, which are just photographs that I've taken over the year and my favourites. So I've put together the calendar today. So very exciting times. People can finally buy a calendar and have it sent anywhere in the world. So that's pretty cool. But yeah. So Genji's saying, I hope we see something while live. Yeah, you know, it'd be really cool. I mean, obviously we can predict things like satellites going in front of the moon. There are apps to give you ideas of transit times, but what would be really cool is we saw an actual impact on the moon. That would be cool to see. Now, you're probably thinking, is that going to happen? What are the odds? Well, it certainly has happened before. It happens, of course. I mean, look at the moon; it's full of craters. And I have heard of people photographing the moon and seeing impacts. So how cool would it be? Maybe I'm just super greedy here, but to see an impact on the moon whilst we're watching it in a live. Who knows, eh? Who knows? I tell you what, if we saw it, maybe it'd be named after us. I'm just fantasizing now. That ain't gonna happen. But I'm loving the detail and how sharp everything is. So one thing that I remember is when we were doing our lives back in March, the moon was actually quite high in the sky, and as we headed towards summer, it got lower and lower, whilst the sun got higher and higher. So, you know, it was a real challenge to see the moon sometimes because it was below the fence and below the neighbour's roof. But at the moment, the moon is very high in the sky, and that's simply due to with the fact that you know, it's a time of the year, so it's a great time for looking at the moon because we get these really good sharp viewing conditions. So pretty cool. Just loving it. It's so bright, isn't it? I mean, the iPhone camera is really struggling to handle the amount of light that's coming through. And you know, I purchased a moon filter a while. I need to do it. I need to just order one so that we can. Yeah, we'll definitely get one soon because it just means that we get to see. I mean, it looks already quite cool, but it'd be nice to get a filter so we can see the moon even better. Even better. So feel free to ask any question, folks. I mean, sometimes people just watch these lives and there's no audio, so that's absolutely fine. I'm happy for you to not even listen to me. That is okay. Thanks, Janet, for another 50 stars. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And thanks, Ross, for answering questions. I can see you answering a question. Hey, Vanessa, no worries at all. Good night, and hopefully you can join me tomorrow. Don't worry if you can. My plan is to go live tomorrow at 9 p.m. to look at the moon and Mars. Actually, we're looking at Mars first. Beautiful. Just looking at Mars now. Very, very nice. So it's an exciting time, folks, for the planet Mars. Mars is in the news a lot at the moment because it's going to be the closest we've ever been to Mars in something like 15 years. And it certainly won't be as close to Earth for another 14, 15 years. And the distance is only going to be 38 million miles. Now, what's really interesting is, and I think it was around 2004, that was the last time that Mars got as close as it will tomorrow. But what's interesting is that time, so the last time it got as close, Mars hadn't been as close for over 60,000 years. So only tomorrow and 16 years ago has Mars been as close in over 60,000 years. Now, okay, in reality, what does that actually mean? I don't think it means a little bit, because as the Earth orbits around the sun and as the moon orbits around the sun, there'll be times when we have something called opposition, and that means that the Earth and Mars at certain times in the orbits will get quite close to each other. So that's kind of happens very often. Okay. Now, every year, well, you know, just within our orbits, you know. But tomorrow, Mars will be 38 million miles away. But there'll be times when, at opposition, Mars will be as far as 68 million miles away. So there is quite a significant difference, and it'll be worth having a look at Mars tomorrow, and it'll certainly be worth, you know, if you've got any equipment like telescopes or binoculars, to have a look, see what Mars looks like. But failing that, if you haven't got the equipment, of course, you can just join me tomorrow, and fingers crossed it stays clear and you know, we can look at it. So Mark has just joined us. Let's have a look. Mark Taylor from TGP Nominal. So Mark is awesome. He has a podcast called TGP Nominal. You guys will have to check it out. I'm actually featured in one of the podcasts this month. So, of course, I'll be sharing the links for everybody to have a little listen. As if you haven't had enough of listening of me talking, but really, really cool. So here we are, folks. This is the Sea of Tranquility, I believe. And this is where the Apollo astronauts landed, somewhere within the Sea of Tranquility. Very, very pretty. So you're probably wondering why the image isn't as sharp as before now. It seems a little bit blurry, and that's actually because there's a very, very, very faint, wispy clouds in front of the moon at the moment. But it's okay, because all it does is it just drowns out a lot of the light, which means that hopefully, let's give it a go, though I'm not hopeful my camera can cope. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit into the craters. So I hope you guys are all well. You may be watching this on catch up as well. Watching this on repeat, and you know, that's also really cool. I'll be keeping this video online. If you missed my Aurora talk yesterday, apologies that I deleted it. So I did a very first Aurora talk online, and it was fun. The challenge was we're having problems with a bit of sound issues, so I wasn't able to. I didn't want to save it. The quality just for me wasn't great. So Mark's listening whilst on the balcony with binoculars. How's Mars looking, Mark? Does it look good? Not sure whether you can see it from. You should be able to see it. It's not too far from the moon. Don't know how many degrees exactly, but I just love how you can see so many craters. It just looks so amazing. So it's interesting to think that the moon on average is 238,000 miles away. In astronomically speaking, it's not far at all. Fanagaria is asking, what telescope are you using? So I'm using iPhone 11. And I am using a Celestron 127 SLT. So what that means is it's a 5-inch aperture telescope and an eyepiece attached to my telescope. So the eyepiece is 16mm eyepiece. So in layman terms, that means we're getting about 90 times magnification. The focal length of this telescope is 1500 millimeters for the astronomers and photographers amongst you. Brian, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining, and thanks for following my page. So it's been an interesting few months, hasn't it? You know, at least weather-wise. We had back in March, April, amazing clear skies, which meant that I was doing a lot of Facebook Lives. And then May, June, July came, and it was just... I remember there was a whole month nearly of no moon watches because it just did not get clear at all from where I was, and it was super frustrating. And now we're approaching stargazing season, and hopefully we're getting more clear skies so we can enjoy the astronomical show. I don't know. I'm just talking away from what I'm talking about. Usually in these talks, off I go to discuss about the moon and how it's formed and everything. But I think because this moonwatch wasn't planned, I just haven't gone into full lecture mode talking about the moon and how it was formed. Shall I just get into it? Might as well. Might as well. So, the moon, what's it made of? And, is it from cheese? Is it, another planet? Where does it come from? Well, what's really interesting is when the Apollo astronauts landed on the moon, they were very surprised to find that pretty much it's made up of the same stuff as Earth. That's interesting, isn't it? Does that then mean that all the other planets and moons out there are made up of the similar stuff of Earth? That's an even more interesting question. And what we believe is about 4.5 billion years ago. So let's take it a little bit further. Let's take back to 4.6 billion years ago. The Earth is a planet, and it orbited around the sun. Moonless, no moon. One day, a huge planet, about the size of Mars. Just to give you a comparison here, Mars is about 1/3 of the size of Earth. So a planet the size of Mars smashed onto the young Earth. Whoa, why did that happen? What's going on? Why are the planets smashing onto our Earth? What's going on here? And that's because back in the early days of our solar system, there was a lot of chaos. There was planets that were not in regular orbits. It was just crazy. And that's why this Mars-sized planetoid smashed into Earth. And actually, they say that it wasn't a full impact. It was a glancing blow. But it was enough to fire up back into outer space a lot of Earth's material, the Earth's crust. Okay? And all of that stuff ended up orbiting around Earth. So for a brief period in time, Earth had a ring, like Saturn. Eventually, all these bits of Earth's crust and this smashed up planetoid, which actually they named Theia, ended up coming up together, forming together, and it became the moon. So there we are. We have we have the moon. But the interesting thing is, 4.5 billion years ago, that moon, or the moon we see today, was actually a lot closer to Earth than it is now. The moon now is 238,000 miles away, but back in the beginnings, it was around 18,000 miles away or so. And it appeared about 50 times bigger than it does now. So it certainly was, at least it looked a lot bigger. But over time, the moon has moved away from us and drifting away at about 2 to 3 centimeters every single year. So isn't it crazy to think how big the moon would have looked like all those years ago. So that's how we have our moon, folks. It hasn't just magically appeared. It wasn't already formed. It literally is from a collision with this other planet, planet Theia, 4.5 billion years ago. Mars, the planet which we'll be looking at tomorrow, hopefully, has 2 moons. How greedy. Phobos and Deimos. The interesting thing about those moons, or Mars's moons, is that they're actually very small. I believe, I could be wrong here, I'm pretty sure, in the tens of miles? Is that right? I need to get my head around it. I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know, they're very small, maybe a bit bigger. But the point is, they think that Mars's moons are captured asteroids. So, formed very differently. And in fact, there's a lot of moons that planets have that we think are either captured comets or captured asteroids. For example, Jupiter and Saturn, they have about 70, 80 moons, you know. So greedy. But it isn't, they aren't all formed from the way that we have our moon. In some cases, they have what we call natural satellites, so they were formed pretty much at the same time as when the planets were formed. But then a mass of them, the majority of moons that Saturn and Jupiter have, the most likely captured asteroids or falling broken bits of other moons. So you don't have to imagine them as having all these circular moons orbiting around them. So there we are, folks. That is how our moon is formed and how many moons our neighbour, one of our neighbours, Mars, has. Venus doesn't have any moons, and neither does Mercury. So, I'm trying to think if you guys have got any questions. I'm happy to just stare at the moon. Oh, Mars is so bright at the moment. I'm really looking forward to seeing it again tomorrow. It's just so bright in the sky. They say by the 13th, which is actually when it'll be at its brightest, Mars will be 3 times brighter than the brightest star, which is Sirius. Sirius, the dog star, and Canis Major to the left of Orion. That's a really bright star, but Mars is 3 times brighter. It will be. It'll be tomorrow probably, and certainly on the 13th. So let's just see how much we can zoom in, eh? So, when I take photographs of the moon, I really enjoy taking photographs of the full moon, and that's really pretty to look at, certainly along with landscapes and, you know, cityscapes and things, because I just love that comparison. But when you're looking at the moon, maybe with binoculars or telescopes, the best time is not at full moon, in my opinion. And that's because when it's full moon, the light makes the features on the moon, what we say, very flat. You don't get the 3D effects. You don't get the shadows. And if you look at the edge here, literally what we call the line between darkness and daytime, otherwise known as the Terminator line. So what we have here is, if I zoom in a little bit down here, you can see all these beautiful mountain ranges and craters that you can see, and that's only because of the angle of sunlight that hits the lunar surface, which gives us this clear 3D like effect. And this is probably the best time. Well, not this phase is a great time to have a look, because you just see the stunning and craters and things. Hey, King Louis, are you there? I see King Louis just joined us. How are you doing? And Mark's put up a podcast, which is with me and Ross on it. Awesome stuff. So, there you are, guys. Awesome. I think most of my followers are probably asleep. It's 1 a.m. And that is cool, because when they wake up tomorrow, they can watch this moon watch, something they've probably seen 100 times and sick to death of. But that's fine. I'll keep going. Reality is we get loads of new followers. I get loads of new followers, and maybe the new followers haven't seen it yet. So it's okay. We could just keep doing this. I just have to keep learning new facts. New information. There's only so much you can learn about the moon. Hey, that's not true. People study the moon for years, right? There's so much to learn. There's new probes landing on the moon and analysing stuff. Water being found, ice being found, moonquakes on the moon. All this is fairly recent stuff. What was the latest thing about the moon? It's getting it's rusting or something. That was in the news just 2 weeks ago? The moon is rusting. Ross, is that right? The moon is getting rusty, and that's to do with they believe some of the moisture that's being transferred over to the moon. So that's what's happening. So yeah, loads of new stuff all the time. I'm someone who I read a lot about astronomy, and there's always this new stuff that comes out, and I just wait a few years. That there's theories always happening all the time about the formation of planets, and like for example, guys, just a few weeks ago, it was on the news that they think they found evidence of life on Venus. So on the atmospheres of Venus, there's a certain compound which they believe can only occur, or certainly on Earth, if there's bacterial life, I believe. So that potentially means there is evidence for life on Venus. So everyone was getting really excited, aliens on Venus and everything. Of course, that wasn't the case. It's just some bacteria. But now they're saying, a week later, they said that actually they think asteroids skim the atmosphere of Venus, and they've left behind these bacteria compounds. So, this is what I'm saying. It's great. It's good, because it's always new info. But I try not to get too excited with this kind of stuff, and I just wait till there's been more scrutiny over the discoveries. So there you are. There you are, Mark's just saying they're still analysing a word I can't even pronounce. Samples. They're still analysing some kind of sample collected by the Apollo missions. There you are. Apollo missions. That was 40 odd years ago, guys. 40 odd years ago. Still analysing samples. I remember when I did a talk, my Facebook Live, probably only the second time I did it, and it was great. I had a nice little chat, very casual, very chilled, and all of a sudden there was these astronomers that came on and joined my feed, and I completely freaked out because I thought, right, I'm gonna have to sound clever and start using proper terminology, because I enjoy talking about the moon and just saying soil samples. There you are, Mark. Thank you very much. And yeah, it was hilarious, because then I started freaking out, thinking I'm being vetted. People are listening to what I'm saying, but it's all funny. I just, we're just here to enjoy photographs of the moon. But yeah, it's really cool to have Mark and Ross on online, and they can help me with any difficult questions and things, and it's really, really cool. And also, hey, it's 1 a.m. You would think that most people would be asleep by now, but Ross and Mark clearly online. So, Adam, I can see my house from here. I can see my house. Do you mean you can see the moon from where you are? So, got some bad news. My phone just flashed up and said that there's only 10% of battery left. So, I'll keep talking until maybe the batteries die completely. Or at least we'll keep enjoying the moon. Okay, Adam. Hey, one day, right? Imagine they have, one day they'll have moon base. I don't know when. One day they'll have moon bases up, and one day we'll have really powerful telescopes that we can own and spy on the people, right? Say, hey, what's the astronaut up to today? Oh, he's just planting some greens in his moon garden. I've clearly lost the plot. Is it not like a saying, if you keep staring at the moon you turn mad? I think that's what it is. 40 odd moon watches later. So, just to let you guys know that I'm really excited to announce that Ross and I, so Ross from UK Astronomy and I, are participating in this really cool thing on Wednesday, where we're doing these little talks, astronomy based. So I'll be putting a link up very shortly, because I don't know what day it is today, guys. Is it Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? It was Tuesday, right? No, it's not. Is it Monday? I have no idea what day it is. So let's just pretend it's Monday. So on Tuesday, yeah, I think it's Monday. So on Tuesday, I have to do, I'm doing a Mars talk on my Facebook page. And Wednesday, I'm doing another talk to do with Oxford Science Week or something. Sorry, Ross, you might be able to help me with this. And so that's really exciting, and I'll be talking about the aurora. And then, I don't know, we'll have to think of some more lives. I'll do another talk on Sunday. That'll be pretty cool. Moonbase Alpha. DNA. Wednesday the 7th, thank you. Jimmy Boy, hello. It's Tuesday, 1:08. Thank you, Jeanette. Very kind. So the clocks go back, certainly for us in England, towards the end of the month. So that makes it things a bit interesting. It means certain celestial objects will appear later or earlier. So let's just zoom in and so my iPhone's struggling with the light, but that's really cool to look at, isn't it? So Ross is just saying we're doing these breakout rooms, so we're talking about chosen subjects. So I'm talking about the Northern Lights, which is something that I could talk for hours and hours and hours. I mean, we talk about the moon for hours and hours, but the Northern Lights just keep going forever, mate. Hi, Sandra. It is looking very good. Really nice conditions. Beautiful, in fact. Look at that. Really, really nice. Looks like the moon is breathing, isn't it? Just popping up and down. It's just issues with my iPhone camera. The moon is actually quite bright, and if you imagine it magnified 90 times, this is, to be honest with you, this is, I mean, I don't know, is this bad for my camera? I think if it was the sun, we'd have big issues. It would certainly burn the lens of my iPhone, but the moon's all right, I think. It seems to be struggling with how much light's coming through its sensor. I think it's just really bright. Okay, Ross, there's a question for you. How high is the highest mountains on the moon? I'm pretty sure that I know what the answer is, but I'm going to leave that for Ross to answer, because he is the man who knows pretty much everything about the moon and how to use Google. So joking. I'm gonna take a guess that it's around 3,000 meters. Could be wrong, but I'm going for 3,000 meters. Ross, do you have the right answer there? And if I'm wrong, I'm deleting this video. It'll be never ever will be seen again. I'm joking, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's just so many numbers to remember, unfortunately. I mean, I can't remember them all, but we'll see what Ross says. If he's still... There we are. Mons Huygens is the moon's tallest mountain. Its height is 18,000 feet. And in meters... Wow, 18,000 feet. Wow. That's pretty nuts, man. Wow. That's caught me by surprise. What, 5,500 meters approximately then? Whoa. Well, there you are. Thanks, Ross. That is a real surprise. That's really impressive. We'll have to find that. Right, I'm a bit worried because my battery's about to run out. I need to try and figure out how I can find out how much battery I've got left. If you hold on a second. Okay, so I've got 5% battery, which is probably about 10 minutes. The highest point located on the far side of the moon, 6,500 meters higher. Wow, 6,500 meters. That is a surprise. Hey, Ross, how cool, right? One day, certainly not in our lifetimes, but one day, I reckon there'll be people that will go to the moon with the challenge of climbing those mountains. That will happen. It will, won't it? It will. It must do. It must happen. Because people are crazy. And I can imagine it. I can imagine some super rich billionaire, maybe someone who owns loads of electrical cars and satellites. He might decide to go over to the moon and just climb the tallest mountain on the moon. He'll be the first man to do that. Or it could be a woman. I can imagine it happening. It'd be a bit of a crazy one to do, though, wouldn't it? A bit of a crazy one. What would be impressive? What would be impressive is to climb Olympus Mons, the highest volcano in the solar system. And that is, I believe, 20 kilometers high. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. More than twice the height of Everest. And that's in the planet Mars, so high that its peak absolutely does penetrate its atmosphere. It's very, very thin atmosphere. So, one day, guys, not in our lifetimes. To be fair, I'm not really that bothered. Listen, people climbing planet mountains, moon mountains, lunar mountains, not really that bothered about that. So a big hello to all the people who have just tuned in. And because there seems to be a little burst of new people joining, we're looking at the moon here on my page, and I am based in the northeast of England, and I'm using a telescope and an iPhone camera attached to my telescope. So that's what you're watching at the moment. Sorry, that's what we're using to watch. We're looking at the moon, obviously. So what I'm going to do is come back in a few minutes whilst you guys enjoy the view. was trying to find an external charger, but can't find one, so we're just gonna have to call it a day quite soon. No such luck. Right, folks, so I am going to now start to call it a day, simply because I don't have any power left. I'm going to go offline now because I think the phone's about to cut off. But thanks for joining me, folks, and thanks for following my page. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, 9 PM UK time for Mars Watch.